Okay, good morning and welcome to Daf Yevamos, Daf It number 16. We have an unbelievable share for you today. We can have the special privilege of hearing Divrei Torah for Rabbi Shmuel Wittau, one of the prominent Rosh Kollel in this neighborhood, this shul. He is a nephew of Asa Wittau, who was the personal driver of Scheinberg, if anyone cares. He's a big Talmud Chacham. We had him on once already. He came over to me yesterday in the grocery store, and he requested to come on. So, we're headed in the right direction. If people are requesting to come on to the shir, we're gaining traction, gaining momentum. I think people watch my share, that I only share for an average around a minute. So we're right at that point right now. So if I still have you on, press that subscribe button, press that like button, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about me without glasses, contacts, with a beard, without a beard. I want to know. My wife is interested in these things. My wife wants me to have a beard. She'd rather have me wearing glasses. So I'm venturing on my own territory over here, going with contact lenses and shaving my beard. Let me know what you think. Let me hear what you think of my appearance. I look good. Would I look better with a sweater? The Oxford shirt, where you have the buttons over, that's called an Oxford shirt, or the collar out. My wife says the collar out looks better, but I wear these shirts because they're more expensive, nicer brand, Brooks Brothers. And we're going to have a Wittau on this year, and we're going to be having a talk today about a story about someone bested Rabbi Akiva. Somebody got the best of Rabbi Akiva. He called Rabbi Akiva. He said Rabbi Akiva go back to being a shepherd. It's major drama going on over here. You're going to want to hear it. Let's start. Ted Zayin and Aleph at the top. We're trying to figure out, did Beit Shammai do like they preached? Did they practice what they preached? Tashma, we may Rabbi Dosa ben Horgan Huchos Abas La'achin. Shma Mina Asu. It's a clear brice of the name of Dosa ben Horganus, one of the Tanoim. Saras Abbas is mutter to the Achim, like Beit Shammai. The Saras allowed to marry. The Sarah of Erva is allowed to marry the brothers. Shmamina, they did. We have people that did like Shmamina. It's a good proof. They actually followed what they preached. The Bryce expands on what happened. Chachamim weren't happy about this. They possibly but they were bothered the fact that the one who disseminated this ruling, he was a big god, a big chacham. He's a very wise person. She was very old. He couldn't even walk to the base of Medrash anymore. He couldn't see his way. They had to go protest. They had to make a machal. They had to say, listen, this is not the way we do the halach. We pass like Beis Hillel. Who's going to tell him? I'm going to go. Acharav me. So the base manager, who else is going to come with him? Razav Nazariah, he volunteered. Razav Nazariah volunteered himself. Acharav me. Rabbi Akiva volunteered himself to go also. All three went. They stood by the doorway of Rabbi house. The maidservant came and said, these men want to see you. They went in. Recognized Rabbi Yeshua, one of the most prominent, maybe the God of the door. He put him on a golden bed. Does it mean he had a golden bed? Chas v'shalom. We know the story of the Chavetz Chaim, that all he had in his living room was a bench. Someone remarked to Chavetz Chaim when he went to his house, he says, this is the way for a God al Ador to live. You don't have a sofa, a bench in your living room. He said, the famous answer, he says, where's your recliner? Where's your sofa? He said, I'm just traveling. I'm traveling through Radin. He said, I'm just traveling through this world. We don't take a material possession with us afterwards. And the case was settled. But unbelievably, over here, we see that one of the biggest Rabbanim in the door had gold beds. Not just one gold bed. We're going to see he had more than one gold bed. Amar le Rebbe, Amar le Talmidecha, Acher v'yashev. So Rabbi Yeshua wanted his fellow Rabbanim to be able to sit down. He said, "It doesn't hurt. Let someone else sit down." Amar lo, Mihu, who is this? Rabbi Azariah. It's Rabbi Azariah. Amar lo, Yesh lo ben al Azariah. He was very old, obviously. He was a contemporary of his father, Azariah. He has a child, Karla Mikra. When realizing he had a son who was Talmud Chacham, now he used to come to Gandhi, Sadik Nezav, Zaravak. Right? I was young and then I became old. I never found in the world that a tzaddik was Nezav, Azariah, her father was a tzaddik, so he wasn't left without any bread. He wasn't left with a son who wasn't Talmud Chacham. He had a son Talmud Chacham. That's like bread for some people. It's more important than what they eat is to have a son who's Talmud Chacham, to have a son who grows up Haredi. Tafsul Shiva Almita Shal Zav. He found another golden bed for him. Amalei Rebbe Amor Tamid Acher V'Shev V'Yashav. So Yeshua was worried about Akiva. He said, "Find him a bed." He said, "Who are you?" Akiva ben Yosef. Akiva ben Yosef. Akiva ben Yosef. You're the famous one, the Rabbi Akiva, with 24,000 Talmidim. That everyone heard about you. Apparently, he didn't know what he looked like. He didn't see his picture in Mishpacha magazine. There was no Mishpacha magazine back then. Hard to believe. There was no Yated Naaman. They didn't see Rabbi Akiva's picture. Shev b'nei Shev. He told him, sit down. Kamoscha Yerbu Yisrael. I don't know if he got a gold bed or not. He said there should be a lot of people like Yisrael, famous people. So they started, they don't want to get directly in confrontation. They started talking about different halachic shilas. Finally, they reached talk about the din of a Saras Abbas. And Amrullah, Saras Abbas Ma'u. Amrullah, Machalok B'Shamu Yisrael. He says, halacha, it's Machalok B'Shamu Yisrael. Halacha Girim. And they asked him, who's halacha? Amrullah, halacha B'Yisrael. Halacha B'Yisrael. She's Asura, she's Patr Minachlit Zabariyah. But we heard in your name, it doesn't been Horkinus, famous teaching the price of that you passing away Shammai. I'm with him, Dosa Shamatim or Ben Horkinus Shamatim. What did you hear exactly? You heard Dosa Ben Horkinus or you just heard Ben Horkinus? Amrullah Chaye Rebbe Chaye, we're swearing by our lives, Rebbe Stam Shamanu. We just heard Ben Horkinus. We didn't hear the specific name, the Shem Prati, the personal name. Amar Lahem, the first name. Amar Lahem, Katan Yeshli. You're right. The reason is because I have a younger brother, Bachar Satanu. He's a devil's advocate. His name is Yonasan. Yonasan Mehorkinas. Who Tamid Shammai? He is one of the students of Shammai. He was the one who passed with Shammai. He's hero. You should be careful with him. You get into a discussion with him. We used to say Shammai is Mechadi Tzfei. They didn't learn even better. You see something interesting, because I'll mention this story again. Another day, David told me. It's a very sad story, and it just happened recently, so it's kind of controversial a little bit. Someone at the Levi, Rav Chaim, or explaining why he didn't go to the Levi, Rav Chaim said, I'm a brisker. Chaim, learn Bekias. Rav Chaim Kanievsky, his whole life is Bekias. He's not a brisker. He's not a brisker. He doesn't learn Be'in, he didn't learn Be'in, not a brisker, I don't have to go to his funeral, I don't have to give him respect. Well, Shammai was a brisker. Shammai was the first brisker. No, I don't know. I don't even know if they know how to learn well and brisk. Ian well. If you want to learn Ian well, stick with me. I'll teach you how to learn Ian well. I think most of brisk is just handling or fondling the chidushim that were of the previous two generations before them, of Rechaim Brisker and the Brisker Rav. They really just talked about those things. I think that's what goes on in Brisker Yeshiva. They don't really say anything new. The Rosh Yeshiva, they just quote from the Zayda and the great Zayda. I think that's what happens there. So it's not really an Ian Amiti, a realness going on. It's capable of making you Mechadish right now. So go on here really Ian here at first. But you know what? I still respect Rav Chaim, even though I'm Ian with Ben Sion. I can still appreciate Rav Chaim. His specialty was Bekias. What does that matter? Anyway, this is it's a big discussion among the Gemara says we possibly celebrate Shammai. Right? But Shammai was Mechadi too. They were better at Iyun. Hillel was better at Bekias. So also the Gemara Paskin is the end of Horius. The Gemara says Rabbi and Rav Yosef, which one is better? Rabba was Marichitia. He knew all the halachos. And Rav Yosef was Okir Harim, who we passing Rabba over Rav Yosef, because Hakol Sricha Marichitia, everyone needs to know the halachos. You need to know the halachos. You're right, Lamdus is very good, but usually it produces diddly squat. It produces nothing, no practical ramifications. So you go with the more standard approach, even though it's probably, if you challenge them, we're going to see they challenge Rabbi Akiva, they probably lose the people who learn Bikiyas because they don't want to learn with depth. But practically, if you want to live in this world, you want to follow halacha, you're going to need Rabbanim who learn Bikiyas and learn Shulchan Aruch Bikiyas and know on a simple svara how to pascha, because people learn Be'iyah and they can learn the same as for their whole lives and I'm not going to get anywhere. And not even on halachos. All right. He has 300 defenses. Why Sharas Abbas is mutter to the Achim? Shei Muteres. I'll give you testimony. He sat on this very stool. He said three halachos. Like basically, I'm gonna Moab Meiser Ani B'Shviyas. I'm gonna Moab. Ammon is Ammon Jordan. Moab is maybe Abba Mazin, the Palestinian Authority. That area, Master and Meiser Ani B'Shviyas, they don't. This is Yershmita. It's not subject. It's not considered part of Eretz Yisrael to be Chayim and Shemitah, and therefore the 7th year, like other years, like the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th, you take off Meiser Ani. Makablim Gerim and Akarduyim and Tarmudim, these questionable nations, you accept the ger. We don't suspect them of being mamzerim. When these three Gedolim, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Elazar, and Azariah, Rishon went in one door. They were afraid they were going to meet the brother Yonasan, so they wanted to hide. Pagabo, still Yonasan found Rabbi Akiva actually Leivokmi. He asked some questions. Rabbi Akiva, after he paskin Saras Abbas Asura, it's Muteres, and he bested him. That's what actually bested him. He got the best of Rabbi Akiva. Amar lo Atahu Akiva Shivcha Olach Nesova Olam Atsofa. You're the Akiva that's so famous. You became famous, but you're not even on the level of shepherds. Shepherds could learn better than you of cattle. Amar lo Rebbe Akiva I feel the son. He says he was a little upset with himself. He said, I feel the son. I can't even be a shepherd of sheep. I don't know what's going on over here. Rabbi Akiva is disparaging himself more. Is that anava? I don't know. Humility. Is he trying to kiss up to Yonasan ben Harkness? I don't know what's going on over here. It's very sad that Rabbi Akiva so easily got bested in this thing, and we don't even pass him like Yonasan ben Harkness. Interesting. All right. I'm gonna know Meiser Sheni Meiser Ani B'Shviyas. The second halacha. Chagai said, the Amar Mar Harbe Krochim Kivshu Ole Mitzrayim Lo Kivshu Ole Bavel. When they went up to out of Mitzrayim, so Klal Yisrael conquered a lot of cities that when they went up from Bavel, they didn't conquer. The Kedusha, when they went up from Mitzrayim, that remained for the first base of Mikdash. After the destruction of the first base of Mikdash, that Kedusha went away. It was determined by which cities they conquered when they went up from Bavel, and Ammon and Moab were not things that they conquered. They allowed them not to be inhabited by Jews in order that they should have what for poor people to have subsistence during Shvius. Mekalim Gerim from these questionable nations. Any is a true. We're not Mekabel converts in the Karduyim. Amaravasha Kartuyim Itmar. When we say we're not Mekabel Gerim, that's talking about Kartuyim, a different nation than Karduyim. Kartuyim Psulim. The reason that the Kartuyim are Psulim, that Mepharshim explains, is because they were suspected of being Mamzerim. They were Jewish, they were Mamzerim, or they were not Jewish, but the subject whether they're Jewish or not. But they're Mamzerim. You're not going to call Gerim Mamzerim because it's going to cause a lot of Mamzerim in Klal Yisrael if you bring them in Klal Yisrael. We get the Amri Tanya and Becheskel, Ein Makabel Gerim Yakartuyim. a different way of saying it. Rabbi Cheskel said, we're not makabel gerim for kartuya. My love, hainu kartum, hainu kardun. Isn't it the same thing? The dalid and the taf are really the same thing. I'm a rav. Ashilo kartuya l'chud, kartuya l'chud. They're two different nations. Kamar Inshi, kartuya psili. Kartuyim are apostle. They're suspected to be Mamzer. Rav Yochanan Masabia the Amri Tarvayu in Makabel Gerim and Tarmudim. They said we're not Makabel Gerim and Tarmudim, arguing on Chagai. Remember Rav Yochanan said, "Now Koloksam Abayim and Arakem Tahorim." All of the stains, right? A woman who sees Dam Nida, that's Tamid Oraisa. If she sees the Dam Nida on her begadim, on her clothes, a stain, it's called Kesem. That's only Asr Midrabanan to make the woman Tameh and to make the clothes Tameh. Midrabanan. And of non-Jews, they weren't gozer. Non-Jews, so that therefore there's not even a gzeira on stained clothing of non-Jews. So it comes from Rekem, which is a place of majority of non-Jews. We assume it's Torah because it came from a non-Jew. Yehuda Matame. Yehuda says Rekem, it's Tameh Mnei Shem Gerim V'Toim, because they're actually converted. They're just not following the halachas properly. Made of it's really a Jewish place. Made of the Chavim, but the Brisa concedes, the Mishnah concedes, it comes from a place where it's all non-Jewish Tahorim. That's for sure Torah, according to everybody. So the Gemara asks, top of Tezayim and the Beis, Kapatzik V'Tanim Made of the Chavim Filim in Tarmud. It says of the Chavim, then this Mishnah includes any non-Jewish nation, even Tarmud. Tarmud's a non-Jewish nation. Amar Yochanan is also Makabel Gerim in Tarmud. And based on this Mishnah, Yochanan said, we see that you are Makabel Gerim in Tarmud. Maybe he says this Mishnah indicates it, but I don't pass them like that. But Mishnah follows a Stam Mishnah, an anonymous Mishnah. This Mishnah is anonymous. Everyone agreed on this Mishnah. So how could Rabbi Yochanan before say that we're not Makabel? Here he's saying we're not Makabel. Amorai Ninu Vali with Rabbi Yochanan. It's two opinions. What Rabbi Yochanan really said, we're not sure. Tarmud, my time alone. What's the reason we're not Makabel from Tarmud? Believe Rabbi Yochanan Masabia. Rabbi Yochanan and the elders argued about it. Some say because Talmud came from the Avadim Knainim, the non-Jewish servants, partially Jewish servants, the Avadim Knainim are partially Jewish, that worked for Shlomo, that comprised the Bnei Talmud. And some say because of Bnei Shalim. We'll see in a second what these two things are. If the Talmudim were comprised of servants of Shlomo, so therefore they are with Jewish women, and according to this Gemara, this opinion, they hold that an Eved Kochavim, a non-Jew or an Eved Kanaini that has relations with Israel, the child is a Mamzer. So they want to say Mamzerim to Klal Yisrael. What is that referring to? Some say this is talking during the siege and destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, the first Beis HaMikdash. Besides all of the Nebuchadnezzar and his troops that went in, there were 12,000 men and 6,000 archers. Some say it was 12,000 infantry. 6,000 of them, half of them, were archers. When the non-Jews, the Babylonians, went to the Heichal, they all went for the gold and silver. They had a better idea. They said, instead of money, we'll take the women. That's why he's saying Kinos and Eicha, women in Sion, they caused pain and they defiled them, Sulos, together with them. And this opinion also assumes that an Ovei Kochav, a non-Jew, Haba Bas Yisrael, again, the Vlad Mamzer, so therefore we don't accept it from Klal Yisrael. Following Pasuk, this is really nothing to do with what we were saying before, it's just related to the person who said it. Who said this Pasuk in Tehillim? I was a young lad and I became old, and I never saw a Tzaddik Nezav. I never saw that a tzaddik didn't have what to eat. His children didn't have what to eat. If Hashem really said this, Hashem is old. We know David died from Masech Shabbat. He died at the age of 70 years old. Who's Sarah Olam? The article says Amalach. Sarah Olam. I'll leave that for you to figure out who's Sarah Olam. Sarah Torah is Rabbi Chaim ask you about. Star Olam. Questionable. All right. Amru v'Amar Shmuel Merachmeni, another teaching of Shmuel Merachmeni. Amar Yonas Amay Dechsev Yado Parasar Al Kol Chada Ze Amon Moav. Hashem, when the enemies had rulership of Klal Yisrael, they had rulership over all the precious things. This is referring to Ammon and Moab. B'shash nichsu of the Chav Nehechal. Again, instruction of the first page of the mage. Everyone went in. I'll call him to the Zav. Him to Sefer Torah. They didn't go for the women. They went for the Sefer Torah. Amru zesh kasav lo yava amoni moavi b'kal Hashem yisarif be'ish. Torah said. What does the Torah say? One of the things it says is that you can't marry an Ammoni Moavi because of what they did to you. So he said the Torah says is they burnt the Torah. Siva Hashem liyakol sila sarav amarav. What is this pasuk referring to? Going Homanya lefum nahara. Hashem surrounded the Jewish people with their enemies. Ammonia, I guess, in Bavel was a place that were non-Jews, and they were next to the Jewish city of Pum Nahara, and they caused them trouble. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Asi, Ove kochav shekish v'zman hazeh choshen l'kiddushin. This is a prevalent halacha. A non-Jew is mekadesh, he does kiddushin in this time, right? Let's say a non-Jew, John Smith, would walk out of the mechanic shop, and he would mekadesh a Jewish woman. It's a safek kiddushin. She needs a get. Shemim Aseret HaShvatim, we consider this cat to be one of the Aseret HaShvatim. So the Gemara qualifies. Hagol the Parish Meruba Parish. Fine. So there were Aseret HaShvatim, which were 10 tribes that were mixed up. But Rove of the world, there's 7.6 billion people in the world. The Jewish population, I think, accounts for somewhere between 14 to 22 million, depending on how you calculate a Jew. That's not such a great percentage. So Rove definitely indicates Ruba the Ruba are non-Jewish people. Where the answer is, we're only Chosh Kedushin Bedukta the Kvi, a place where they're Kavua. Where are those places? The Amar Rabbi, and we know the concept in the Gemara, Kol Kavua Kamech Samech Dami. Wherever there's an established presence, right? Where's an established presence, we know that they were there. So therefore, even though right now they're definitely not the Rove, but it's like Rove. Kol Kavua Kamech Samech Dami. We treat it as a Safek Daraisa, either Midrabanan or Midaraisa. It's considered a Safek Amar Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana Vaynachem. They rested when King Asher took them, the 10 tribes. He put them in Chalach, Chabar, Nagodim, Arimada. What are these places? Chalach, Zech, Chilazon. It's a place called Chilazon, which is a river. Chabor, next to a river. Chabor, Zu, top of Yuzayim and Aleph, Zu Chadayev. This is a place called Chadayev. In the article, they said this is talking about a place in northern Iraq. It's called Adi Abin. This is a place where Munbaz and his mother, Hilnia Malka, they lived. Nargozen Zu Ginzak. Ginzak is a place, Syria, apparently, according to the article. Vinari Madan Zu Hamdan. Hamdan is one of the cities in western Iran. V'chabrusa and its fellow cities. Amri La Zu Nehor V'chabrusa. Some say it's Nehor, a different city in Iran. Charusem, what are the suburbs of the city? Amar Shmuel, Krach, Moshchi, Chidak, Vedumkia. These are the names of the suburbs next to the main city in Iran that are considered. So they were scattered in Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Those are the places where the Aseret HaShvatim are supposed to be, according to the Gemara. In those places were Chosh HaKiddushin. So if a Jewish woman would go to Iraq or go to Iran or would go to Syria, and one of the Arabs there would be Makadesh, or it would be a Sapek Yedushin, that the Gemara seems to say. Amr Yochanan, the Yochanan hands off Kulin Lapsul. Even though we said that Chosh Lakidushin, right, we assume that if they, right, even though we're assuming they're Mamzerim, these people, is even if they're Jewish, they're Mamzerim, they've been intermarried for many years, they're Mamzerim, they probably married their Arayos, their Ervos, either adultery or marrying one of their relatives. So even though they're mamzerim, right, we know kiddushin is tosim. Marry a mamzer is only Esther lav. So kiddushin tosim mechayve lavin. We don't pass the Rabbi Akiva. But he says that if they have one of these marriages, if they go through with the marriage, then they're going to create mamzerim, because a mamzer who is Baal Yisraelis produces a mamzer. All right, that's the end of today's share. I hope you enjoyed today's share. I really hope you're listening. Keep listening. Keep liking. Keep commenting. Keep subscribing. And tell all your friends about it. And now, today, we're going to have a special honor of having Rabbi Shmuel Wittau coming up right now.